was wearing a tuxedo was not included. So she's a lesbian. She decided that she wanted her yearbook photo to be taken wearing a tuxedo.
Okay.
And when she went to check the yearbook, her photo wasn't in it. In fact, the yearbook did not even mention her name.
Nice.
Sturgis is a senior at Wesson Attendance Center, and her mother, Veronica Rodriguez, fought with the help from the ACLU last fall after the student officials first rejected the photo of Sturgis in a tuxedo. According to the Jackson Free Press, the ACLU wrote an October letter demanding that officials use Sturgis's submitted photo in the yearbook, but Copiah County School District officials refused. Rodriguez said she expected the yearbook to at least contain a reference to her daughter on the senior page, where they list all the people in the class, and then like at the end, anybody that doesn't have a photo just gets their name listed. She was expunged from the entire yearbook.
Wow. That is so mean.
Sturgis, a popular and academically accomplished student, has attended the school for 12 years. The Copiah County School District maintains that its decision not to run the photo is based on federal legal precedent. But they failed to list what that federal legal precedent is. To not run a photo in a yearbook.
Yeah.
To not even print her name in the yearbook.
That's just cruel. Shame on them.
And then, if parents and school systems weren't bad enough, there's another story.
Oh, yes.
Of three teenagers in Kentucky were arrested last week. Two of them were 18, one of them is 17, so the 17-year-old's identity is being withheld. They've been charged with attempted murder and kidnapping of their 18-year-old classmate. The victim told police last week that the pair, the two 18-year-olds and a 17-year-old, had assaulted her and tried to push her off a cliff because she's a lesbian.
Nice.
Police.
I'm guessing they weren't successful.
No, she wouldn't. Right, they weren't successful.
Good.
The police report said, quote, she was taken against her will to Flat Lick Falls area where she was assaulted, and that the other three girls attempted to push her over the cliff, which could have resulted in serious physical injury or death.
Wow.
The alleged incident took place April 16th, which was the National Day of Silence, a school event to raise awareness of homophobic bullying.
Wow.
On the National Day of Silence, these three girls kidnapped, abused, and attempted to push over a cliff a lesbian classmate.
That's just
for
horrific.
being lesbian.
That is just horrific. That I can't believe. You know.
So as much as we talk about how good our transition has been and how fortunate our lives have been, when we're talking about the struggles that are going on in this country and the discrimination and the unfairness that people face, it's really out there.
Oh yeah.
Just because we haven't been able to feature it on the show.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, and there seems to be a theme here as far as where this stuff is happening. Like head south.
Yeah, well.
I mean, but yeah, the truth of the matter is that we've actually fared fairly well, and I think part of that is because of where we are. We certainly, not that we're immune to this stuff in this part of the country, but certainly the Northeast has been fairly, and Connecticut has been fairly progressive when it comes to these kind of things. So I'm sort of feeling blessed about that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Unbelievable.
Then
Just unbelievable.
The last story that I found today that bothered me is a little bit different. This doesn't deal with kids. This deals with grown-ups being unfair to other grown-ups. But the article from pinknews.co.uk is entitled, "Bisexual Men Are Not Gay Enough for the Gay Softball Team."
Right.
There is apparently in, I think it's in the Seattle area, and I'm missing the mention here. There was a gay softball World Series in August 2008. The North American Gay Amateur Athletics Alliance, is being charged that they discriminated against Stephen Pilato, LaRon Charles, and John Russ. The rules apparently say that each team is only allowed 2 heterosexual players in this gay softball league. And these guys are identified as bisexual, which means that they find themselves attracted to both men and women. After the team that they played on had won second place in the tournament, they were cornered and taken into a room where there were 25 onlookers and grilled about their sexual history and preferences and what turned them on. And ultimately, they were deemed not gay by these people running the league, and then since their team was disqualified for now having too many non-gay players.
Wow.
Even though the rule says only 2 heterosexual players. And the irony is that the whole sort of comments, people comment on the story, they're going back and forth arguing over whether these bisexual guys are gay or straight, which is missing the entire point that they're bisexual.
Right.
Bisexual people aren't gay when they're in a same-sex relationship and straight when they're in a heterosexual relationship. They're bisexual all the time.
Right.
One person wrote in, and I thought this was quite astute, that saying that a bisexual person switches between gay and straight depending on who they're dating is equivalent to saying that somebody who's not dating anyone is asexual. And it's just clearly not true. So this reminded me very much of our friend Ron Suresh.
Yes, bisexual erasure.
And his his writings on bisexual erasure.
Yeah.
How we have a really hard time in this country understanding bisexuality, and we're trying to fit it into being either gay or straight.
Sure.
And it's not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We see it all the time.
Yeah.
People just don't get the whole bisexual thing. None of my boyfriends did.
So they said that they were subjected to very intrusive sexual questionings about their private lives. Their team was subsequently disbanded. Their attorney says this case is just about treating everybody in the community equally and not interrogating folks about whether they're gay enough to play.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? Well.
Yeah, it's crazy. So there's some really bad news about what's happening to kids around the country, especially as you pointed out in the Southeast. And then there's this story about essentially bisexual erasure within the GLBT community.
Yeah, there is unfortunately infighting in this community, and I wish that wasn't true, but
yeah,
we see it.
Yeah.
And there's, well, honestly, we're no different from any other community. That kind of stuff is going to happen, but I wish it wouldn't.
Well, yeah, and right, there's this notion that as an oppressed group, why wouldn't you feel empathy and understanding for another oppressed group? Especially since in this particular case, bisexuals are being told from both the heterosexual and the homosexual sides of the fence to pick a side, that you can't really be interested in both, that you must favor one over the other. And it doesn't matter if it's 60-40 or 90-10. If you're attracted to both men and women, you're bisexual.
That's right.
And
which, interestingly enough, an awful lot of people are.
Well, 90-10 might be a little much, if I remember correctly. Ron was telling us that
right.
Kinsey's scale, I think, the 3 4s and 5s.
Right.
Sorry, the 2 3s and 4s.
2 3s and 4s, or yeah, I think 2 3.
0 and 1,
yeah.
5 and 6.
Yeah.
Goes from 0 to 6. So 0s and 1s are on one extreme, 5s and 6s are on the other extreme, and the 2 3s and 4s in the middle are. Yeah.
Something like that.
And for the record, to dismiss one of the major myths about bisexuality, it does not mean that you have to be with a man and a woman at the same time.
Right.
A monogamous relationship is just that. It's a monogamous relationship with whomever you're with until that relationship ends.
Yes. Yes, and people have it's funny because yes, people have a hard time understanding